It's time for your Tackle HD fishing report for Lake of the Ozarks. Here's Casey Scanlon with the latest.
Hey everyone, Casey Scanlon here, going to bring you another Lake of the Ozarks fishing report from Tackle HD. It's the middle of March, and we still got water temps in the mid-40s. Water level is 654, and the last time I went out, the fish were really starting to group up, move towards the bank, and getting in that pre-spawn mode as opposed to the winter fishing we've been doing. But since then we've had some colder temps over the past week or so. So these fish are still in that pre-spawn winter mode, where a lot of the same baits we've been talking about, the jerk bait, the crankhead, the Alabama rig, jigs, all going to be a player. We've got a lot of tournaments coming up. And so those are going to be some of the key baits, but already caught a couple on the Trophy Bass Company Ozark Flash spinnerbait. So things are really picking up. Main baits right now going to be the jerk bait. So throwing the jerk bait. This is the Fiddlesticks. Really like this color, the gold on some of those cloudier days. The fish are moving shallow, but they usually drop back out if we get some of this cold water or cold weather. So, they've been moving back and forth, but, shallow fish are usually the most active. Look for these fish to be moving back into these creeks and coves. They're going to be thinking about, getting up closer to the surface on some of these sunnier days, warming themselves, but they're getting ready to spawn. So with the jerk bait, I like to target points, secondary points back in the creeks, the shallow pockets, brush. You can throw it around a number of things. It's usually kind of my number one bait when that water temp's still in the 40s. We've got really low water levels, so you can see a lot of the brush. A lot of these fish like to be kind of around some of those deeper banks. So look at the creek channel banks, things like that. Alabama rig. Use whatever swim baits you want. I've been using the Tackle HD Swimmer 3.5s when I want a little bit bigger profile. Then when they're finicky, I'll throw these 3-inch Bass Pro Shops speed shads. They're just a little bit smaller. Vary your weights depending on how deep you're going to fish. Throw it around boat docks. Throw it over points. Just cover some water with it and see if you can see some fish on your live scope. Get around some bait. Get around some activity, and you're going to catch some bass. But brush piles are a good target. Creek channel swings, points of all kinds, secondary points, rounded points, long points. Just keep that in your hand and really focus on covering some water and getting around some fish, getting around some bait. Those two baits right there, I think have been producing a lot of the tournament wins, things like that. So keep those in check until these fish start spawning. But water temps are warming. This Tackle HD or Trophy Bass Company rather, Ozark Flash spinnerbait is one of my favorites. If you go up into these creeks and coves and river arms, the water's going to be a little bit muddier. It's going to be a little bit warmer, and they're more shallower too, so they're more likely to eat that spinnerbait. But when we get upper 40s, right now we're kind of mid 40 water temps. We got some 50-degree temps in some of the creek and river arms last time I checked. So look for this to be my number one bait here in the next few weeks. It catches big fish, catches a lot of them when that water temperature creeps into the low 50s. So that's always a player. Been getting a lot of bites recently on the crankhead. Crawdad patterns, get on some rocky banks, chase the wind. Fish some points. Again, creek channel swings are a good target, but just cover some water. Look for the wind blowing in on the bank to kind of get some of those fish up shallow, get them active. That's a great bait to put in your hand. 12-pound Bass Pro Shops fluorocarbon line. I've got it on a 7-foot medium heavy Hemdahl from 6 gill, 6:3-to-1 or 7-to-1 gear ratio reel. Just crank that thing slow, keep it on the bottom. You're going to get some bites and a lot of big ones. Again, upper 40s, 50s, great time to be throwing this. And then the jig. The jig's just a standby. Now that the water temps are getting warmer, we're going to be throwing that Trophy Bass Company finesse jig. And now that they're getting warmer, we're going to switch it up, start throwing a bigger profile jig a little more, the 1/2 ounce Trophy Bass Company Pro Jig's always a go-to of mine. I'll put a chunk on there to kind of slow that fall down, give it a big profile, catches big fish. These fish are going to start sliding up next to the boat docks on some of these sunny days. They're going to be thinking about spawning. So think shallow with the jig. Fish shallow, rocky banks, something with a pretty good taper on it and some shelves so you can let that bait fall and fall down those ledges and catch those bass. Focus shallow, look at boat docks, look at brush, look at laydowns on the bank, rock changes. Rock changes are a big deal down here. We talk a lot about points and creek channel banks and things like that, but these fish love pea gravel, they love chunk rock, they love bluffs. So a lot of times where the different rocks meet is a really good place. So we call those transitions, rock transitions. Key on some of those. Figure out what rock they're on, whether it's pea gravel, fist size rock, chunk rock. I mean, it can be different every day. So sometimes that's the pattern. Crappie fishing. Been good. We have a lot of crappie in the lake, a bunch of crappie. So we've been using the Garmin Live Scope. Check out Russell Marine Products for all your Garmin and equipment and electronics. Those guys are awesome. But we've been looking at that Live Scope a lot. Whether you're bass fishing, whether you're crappie fishing, it's going to help you find those big groups of fish. And it's going to allow you to present your bait to them properly. With that Alabama rig and jerk bait, you can throw right to them, bring it over the top. And then those schools of crappie move, all the time. So you can keep track of them. You can find which boat docks they're sitting underneath. You can find those schools of crappie out in the open water that, a lot of times I don't think any of us knew were sitting out there before Live Scope. So great tool, especially for the crappie fishing. Just throw the Pro Striker baits. 1/16 ounce jig head. That baby shad is always a producer, and I'm basically throwing it around boat docks, brush piles, secondary points. When it's real sunny, windy, you can put it underneath a bobber, float it across those secondaries. But I like to target the boat docks. Deeper docks around secondaries can hold a lot of crappie this time of year, so I'm trying to focus on those. Focus on the docks with a lot of shade. But that's the fishing report for this week, guys. I hope you guys learned a little bit and can go out there and catch a bunch of big bass this week. So good luck to you guys, and until next time, we'll see you out there on the water.